The presentation of the Unit 1.2 Tools to Understand Disability. The content of the presentation. Part 1 International Classification of Functioning Disability and Health, ICF, with subtopics the purpose of ICF and applications of ICF. Part 2 Measuring Health and Disability, Manual for the World Health Organization's Disability Assessment Schedule, HODAS 2.0. What is HODAS 2.0? HODAS 2.0 6 domains, HODAS 2.0 questionnaire versions, and why learn and use a disability measure. Part 1 International Classification of Functioning Disability and Health, ICF. The purpose of ICF. One of the tools to understand the disability is ICF 2017. The aim of the ICF is to classify and to measure functioning and disability within health states, taking also into account environmental and personal factors. Within the ICF, disability is conceived as an umbrella term, including impairments, activity limitations, and participation restrictions. However, the ICF allows to classify all aspects of human functioning. Functioning and disability can be interpreted as opposite standpoints of a common rule. Thus, the focus of the ICF is not only on disability, but also on all of those non-limited aspects of functioning, which can be the basis for building empowerment and new opportunities for participation. The need for the ICF was clear as studies showed that diagnosis alone did not predict services demand, length of hospitalization, level of care, or functional outcomes. Likewise, neither was the presence of a disease an accurate predictor of required disability benefits, performance at work, return to work potential, or likelihood of social integration. Therefore, only using a classification of diagnosis will not provide enough information for health planning and management, and therefore complementary information on the levels of functioning and disability is missed. The ICF was developed with the goal of collecting the data in a consistent and internationally comparable manner. ICF provides the framework and the classification system for determining the overall health population. Applications of ICF as a statistical tool in the collection and recording of data, as a research tool to measure outcomes, quality of life, or environmental factors, as a clinical tool in needs assessment, matching treatments with specific conditions, vocational assessment, rehabilitation, and outcome evaluation, as a social policy tool in social security planning, compensation systems, and policy design and implementation, as an educational tool in curriculum design and to raise awareness and undertake social action. Example of functioning and disability conceptualized using the BPS model. Health status in spinal cord injury as depicted in the figure on the right-hand side. On the top, we see indicated disorders, diseases, such as spinal cord injury, secondary impairments, comorbidity. Connected below, functions and anatomical properties, such as cardiovascular and respiratory function, muscle function, motor and sensory functions. Also, activities, such as hand and arm functionality, basic and complex, wheelchair skills, ADL independence. Also, participation, work, school, sports, family, friends. And connected below, we find external factors such as rehabilitation treatment, practice, exercise, and personal factors, age, gender, fitness, cultural background, as all depicted as connected in this figure. Part 2, Measuring Health and Disability. Manual for the World Health Organization's Disability Assessment Schedule, HODAS 2.0. Disability Assessment Schedule, HODAS 2.0, is a generic assessment instrument developed by the World Health Organization to provide a standardized method for measuring health and disability across cultures. It was developed from a comprehensive set of international classification of functioning disability and health, ICF, items that are sufficiently reliable and sensitive to measure the difference made by a given intervention. What is HODAS 2.0? This manual, as we see on the right-hand side, is aimed at health professionals, for example, in the areas of public health, rehabilitation, physical therapy, and occupational therapy. Also health policy planners, social scientists, and other individuals involved in studies on disability and health. HODAS 2.0, 6 domains of life, were created from a comprehensive set of ICF. ICF has 2 parts, each with 2 components. Part 1, functioning and disability, that includes body functions and structures, change in body functions, physiological and anatomical, and activities and participation, life areas, tasks, actions, capacity executing tasks in a standard environment, performance executing tasks in the current environment. Part 2, contextual factors. Environmental factors, external influences on functioning and disability, and personal factors, internal influences on functioning and disability. HODAS 2.0, 6 domains of life. Domain 1, cognition, understanding and communicating. Domain 2, mobility, moving and getting around. Domain 3, self-care, attending to one's hygiene, dressing, eating, and staying alone. Domain 4, getting along, interacting with other people. Domain 5, life activities, domestic responsibilities, leisure, work, and school. Domain 6, participation, joining in community activities, participating in society. HODAS 2.0, 6 domains of life, were created from a comprehensive set of ICF, and we have the 2 parts with 2 components in each mentioned, like in the previous slide, body functions and structures and activities and participation, as well as environmental factors and personal factors. And we have once again listed HODAS 2.0, 6 domains. Domain 1, cognition, understanding and communicating. Domain 2, mobility, moving and getting around. Domain 3, self-care, attending to one's hygiene, dressing, eating, and staying alone. Domain 4, getting along, interacting with other people. Domain 5, life activities, domestic responsibilities, leisure, work, and school. And domain 6, participation, joining in community activities, participating in society. HODAS 2.0 questionnaire versions. One of them, 3 36-item versions, interview administered, self-administered, proxy administered. Another one, 3 12-item versions, interview administered, self-administered, proxy administered. And the third, 1 12 plus 24-item version, interview administered. Why learn and use the disability measure? And we have a provided part of the sample questionnaire for the domain 3, self-care. And we have the statements. Because of the health condition, in the past 30 days, how much difficulty did your relative have in? And we have 5 options, a scale, which includes none, mild, moderate, severe, extreme, or cannot do for the mentioned aspects in the domain 3. Washing his or her whole body. And we have the items on the right-hand side, the scale to provide the assessment. None, mild, moderate, severe, extreme, or cannot do. Getting dressed, eating, staying by himself or herself for a few days. Diagnosis and assessment of disability is valuable because it can predict the factors that medical diagnosis, assigning a disease label, alone fails to predict. These include assistive and rehabilitation needs, service needs, level of care, outcome of the condition, length of hospitalization, receipt of disability benefits, work performance, social integration. Diagnosis and assessment of disability is valuable because it can predict the factors that medical diagnosis alone fails to predict. These include service needs. What are the patient's needs? Level of care. Should the patient be in primary care, specialty care, rehabilitation, or another setting? Outcome of the condition. What will the prognosis be? Length of hospitalization. How long will the patient stay as an inpatient? Receipt of disability benefits. Will the patient receive any pension? Work performance. Will the patient return to work and perform as before? Social integration. Will the patient return to the community and perform as before? And to conclude the presentation, we have several websites listed on the slide for more information. And we have here the International Classification of Functioning, Disability and Health from 2001 by the World Health Organization. Also, we have the Measuring Health and Disability, the manual for the World Health Organization's Disability Assessment Schedule. And this concludes the presentation of the unit.